You need to settle this?
All right, so this is our Midrash for Torah portion Toldot. Forget Midrashing though. The Torah says, "You'll eat and be satisfied, and you'll bless Adonai, your God, for the good land He has given you." So let's do that. Abba, we have eaten, and we're satisfied. We thank you for the land. It's in Yeshua's name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So this was the it's not correct because it's wrong Haftorah there, but this was the first verse. This was the translation of the first verse. These are the generations, Ele Toldot. Those are our readings. And there were no mitzvot within this portion.
You didn't even make us guess.
Now, I could have made a guess, but I think I told you before that the next one's like a 12-portion bow, so it's a few down the road.
Okay.
I think that's right. All right, so Toldot, plural of Toldah. You never see the singular version appearing in the Torah. The root word is yalad, which means to bring forth or beget, and that's why JPS 1917 version uses that kind of older word beget to describe what Abraham's children words. Some well-known words from the word Yalad is Yaled and Yelda. Of course, is essentially boy and girl, offspring, female and male. So the meaning of Toldot. So Toldot appears in two different forms in the Torah. The one on the left side of your screen has an extra vav. The 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth letter. There's two vavs in Toldot in the version that appears in Bereshit of Genesis 2:4, as well as in Ruth 4:18. Everywhere else, including this week's Torah portion, it includes it's minus that. You can say it perhaps is defective. It doesn't have all of the same letters. Same meaning of the word. And the two verses that you see where it appears that way, where it says, "These are the Toldot of the heavens and of the earth when they're created." That's from 2:4, the book of Genesis, we're in right now. And Ruth 4:18 says, "These are the Toldot of Paretz." So there's a bit of discussion on the the meaning of having that extra vav in there. The Genesis Rabbah, a great commentary on Genesis, reads this way. It says, Rabbi Berechiah said in the name of Rabbi Samuel ben Nachman, "Though these things were created in their fullness, yet when Adam sinned, they were spoiled, and they will not again return to their perfection until the son of Peretz, i.e. the Messiah, comes." For in the verse, these are the Toldot of Peretz. Toldot is fully spelled with the extra vav, or wa. These are they: 1, his luster; 2, his immortality; 3, his height; 4, the fruit of the earth; the 5th, the fruit of the trees; and 6, the luminaries. So why does it list 6 things in the explanation for Toldot being spelled fully? Well, the clear,
Only asked 6 rabbis.
no, I don't think
I
that's,
do like that answer.
what is the numerical value of Vav or Wa?
I'm gonna guess 6.
Good job. It is the sixth letter of the Aleph Bet, and therefore that's why it has a numerical value of 6.
So were they making up the other stuff to make it to have 6?
It's the sixth letter of the Aleph. It's the sixth
I know,
letter.
But they wanted it to have the 6, so did they come up?
They came up with 6 things because the numerical value of Vav is 6.
But the things that I see for the 6, most of them don't have them, except for the fruit of the earth and the fruit of the trees and the luminaries. I'm assuming the stars, the sun, and the moon. What they're talking about.
Yeah, so right. So the explanation of the 6 things is from the letter Vav, that's additional to this text. Why these things are listed in relationship to Messiah is that is a little bit more unclear to me in that sense.
They kind of don't look like they have much to do together.
Well, the fruit of the earth and the fruit of trees.
So that's what I said, those, the last 3, at least you can say they're things of the earth.
Well, but you also say his luster, immortality, and his height are about him as well.
Okay.
Although immortality, in this sense, I think is an important factor. In Yeshua was killed on the tree, but he didn't stay dead. And he is immortal. So for all the other claimants have died and aren't immortal.
No.
Right. So there is another instance of Toldot. You see that, and it is spelled fully in the Hebrew text of Matthew. Dutele Matthew shown here. Ele Toldot Yeshu ben David ben Abraham. Yeshu is how the Dutele Matthew spells Yeshua, and it mimics the Galilean pronunciation, dropping the final ein sound. Fully spelled Yud Shin Vav Ein, spelled in the text of Dutele, which is somewhat is in the sense of it is written in some ways to be mocking, although it really isn't. The idea of the acronym came later. So Yeshu is an acronym made by the rabbis several hundred years later. This stands, instead of for Yeshua as a shortening, it's basically a mocking. It wouldn't make any sense to make an acronym up about someone that didn't make any, didn't have a reason for making it. Yeshua was how his name was pronounced in Galilee. Yeshua would be how it would have been pronounced in Jerusalem. But the Yud Shin Vav as Yeshu is an acronym for Yimak Shmo Zichro, which is may his memory be blotted out. That came later. So some people argue that you shouldn't say Yeshua because that's it's blasphemous because of the acronym that was made. But that's sort of putting the cart before the horse, or putting things that are historically later as if they are historically earlier. And so clearly, Yeshua is how his name was pronounced when he was walking on the planet, in places where the final ein was silent, so to speak. Yeshua, how they were pronounced in the Galilee, Yeshua in Jerusalem. Right. There is another Toldot based on the Hebrew Matthew, Toldot Yeshua. There is an anti-gospel written called Toldot Yeshu, in two different medieval Hebrew versions, but they may be as old as 300 of the Common Era. They're probably more on the lines of going toward medieval time period, but they may date from as old as 300 of the Common Era. So still several hundred years after the Gospel of Matthew was written, sort of as a response to Matthew. It attempts to be a mocking response. All right, so getting back to our Torah portion, we read about the sale of the birthright. Yaakov entered first, some of your rights as firstborn. Okay, so continuing from 25, 30, into the later 30s here, 32 to 34. Yaakov said, first swear to me in verse 33. So he swore to him, thus selling his birthright to Yaakov. And the Torah text says, thus Esau showed how little he valued his birthright. So the question comes up, well, why would Esau sell his birthright over a bowl of red stew? As a cunning hunter, we know that from our portion, why would Esau be at the point of death? And when did this occur?
I have heard tradition says it was Abraham's funeral.
Yes.
Because lentils, because they're round, and eggs and stuff like that are served at funerals for, I think, like coming around, which also tells me that he didn't have enough respect that he would even show up to his grandfather's funeral.
So we read about this among probably the oldest of the documents we see it is in Targum Jonathan. Targum, of course, is the Aramaic translation with commentary. And JD's answer is, I think, based on this as well as the book of Jasher. JD's answer is maybe he thought he was going to die because he killed Nimrod. So,
yeah, I've heard that.
So the Targum reads this as, on the day that Abraham died, so there's where the idea comes from. It comes from the Targum, it's a pretty ancient source. Targum is an Aramaic translation of Hebrew with commentary. On the day that Abraham died, Jacob dressed pottage of lentils as going to comfort his father. And Esau came from the wilderness, exhausted. For in that day he had committed 5 transgressions. He had worshipped with strange worship. He had shed innocent blood. He had gone unto a betrothed damsel. He had denied the life of the world to come and despised his birthright. Again, that's a lot of is written into the text. It's JD says could be a legend in terms of the Nimrod thing. This is also these other things you don't see elsewhere as well. The other 4 transgressions that we see.
That legend makes more sense to me than those others, and that's why he was so desperate.
He's running for his life.
Mm-hmm. What good is my heritage or what my father gives me if I'm going to be dead?
And so
he wasn't a really nice person if you look at all the things he did. And the birthright and the blessing is supposed to, for what it does for the Hebrew people and what he's supposed to as the leader, not a good leader.
Yeah, you would not really want to have him the representative,
over your family.
Right. Abraham, Isaac, and Esau doesn't really sort of makes the trip go the wrong way, so to speak. So this is the book of Jasher. It says, and Esau at the time, after the death of Abraham, freely went in the field to hunt. And Nimrod, king of Babel, the same was Amraphel, who also went with his mighty men to hunt in the field and to walk about with his men in the cool of the day. And Nimrod was observing Esau all the days, for jealousy was formed in the heart of Nimrod against Esau all the days. And on a certain day, Esau went in the field to hunt. He found Nimrod walking in the wilderness with his 2 men. And all his mighty men and his people were with him in the wilderness. But they were moved at a distance from him, and they went from him in different directions to hunt. And Esau concealed himself from Nimrod and he lurked for him in the wilderness. And Nimrod and his men that were with him did not know him. And Nimrod and his men frequently walked about in the field to cool the day and to know where his men were hunting in the field. And Nimrod and two of his men that were with him came to the place where they were when Esau started suddenly from his lurking place and drew his sword and hastened and ran to Nimrod and cut off his head. And Esau fought a desperate fight with the two men that were with Nimrod. And when they called out to him, Esau turned to them and smote them to death with his sword. And all the mighty men of Nimrod, who had left him to go into the wilderness, heard the cry at a distance. And they knew the voices of those two men. And they ran to know the cause of it. And they found their king and the two men that were with him lying dead in the wilderness. And when Esau saw the mighty men of Nimrod coming at a distance, he fled and thereby escaped. And Esau took the valuable garments of Nimrod, which Nimrod's father had bequeathed to Nimrod, and with which Nimrod prevailed over the whole land. And he ran and concealed them in his house. And Esau took those garments and ran to the city on account of Nimrod's men. He came into his father's house, wearied and exhausted from fight. It's either from flight or from fight. I think it's probably from flight. And he was ready to die through grief when he approached his brother Jacob and sat before him. He said to his brother Jacob, "Behold, I shall die this day, and wherefore then do I want the birthright?" And Jacob acted wisely with Esau in this matter. Esau sold his birthright to Jacob, for it was so brought about by the Lord. That's the book of Jasher. So the book of Jasher tells us the kind of the backstory. This Torah portion tells us the lineage of faith. It tells us Abraham's faith is kind of righteous. We read that back in Genesis 15. But in this passage, we're told that Abraham listened to the voice of Yah. And as a result, he obeyed. And the type of thing that he as an Abraham obeyed is the chuchot. One of the things he obeyed was the chuchot. Chuchot are the type of commandments for which no reason is given for doing them. When we read our portion, it says in Genesis 26, verse 5, it tells us that it tells us that Abraham kept certain things. Let's take a look at Genesis 26:5 and read what it says. 26:5. Yep.
26. Oh, 36 doesn't quite cut it.
26 is the right one. 36 is not the one to look at right now.
Yeah.
So Genesis 26:5, it tells us something about Abraham's wife. Blessings went to his children.
Abraham gave everything he owned to Isaac.
26:5, because Abraham hearkened to my voice and kept my charge, my commands, my statutes, and my Toldot, laws or instructions. And the reason that we see that this is about, back to verse 4, I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven. Go back another verse. I'm giving all these lands, fulfilling the oath I swore to your father Abraham. So this blessing is given to who? Who's being appeared to here?
Abraham, Isaac, and then Jacob.
So this blessing is being given to Isaac, right? We see it back in 25. Um, 26:1, we see that Isaac therefore traveled to Abimelech. So this is about Isaac. And Isaac gets the blessing because his father hearkened to Yah's voice, kept his charge, his mitzvot, or his mishmeret, his mitzvot, his huchot, and his Toldot. So blessings come to the children because of the obedience of Father Abraham. So huchim or huchot are the type of command that there are no reason given for, but there are three types of mitzvot we find in the Torah: edot, huchim, huchot, and mishpatim. And the three types of mitzvot, the idea of having three types of mitzvot, comes to us from Devarim chapter 4, verses 44 and 45, which read, this is the Torah which Moshe set before the children of Israel. These are the witnesses, the laws, and the right rulings which Moshe spoke to the children of Israel after they came out of Egypt. Or these are the decrees, laws, and rules that Moses addressed. Or these are the testimonies, the statutes, and judgments. So the three different words there, the three different words, remember, go back a slide to see, the three words are edot, chuchim, hukot, and mishpatim. So the witnesses, the laws, and the right rulings, or really it's the edot, huchim, or hukot, and the testimonies, the right rulings are listed here as, the mishpatim. Mishpat, of course, the type of mitzvah is a mitzvah. We'll see in a second here that, well, what does it mean? Well, if you look at these three different kind of words for commandment here, mishpatim, the third one in our listing, are the moral and ethical commandments or judgments. Most of the 10 words, I think, are part of the mishpatim. For example, the ones that the reason for them are obvious. Do not murder. It's an obvious mitzvah, right? It's the reasons are obvious. There's not really a reason given for it. Edot, there's always a reason given for keeping them. Edot is a word for witnesses, and they will testify about a historical event or a spiritual truth. An example of edot are the feast days. The feast days remind us of what? What are the feast days about? They're about leaving Egypt. When you think about the feast days, Pesach, Sukkot, they're all about a time and exiting from Egypt. Huchim or huchot are the kind of commands that there are not obvious like the 10 words, and there's no reason given for them like the edot. They're the kind that there's no reason given. There's not a why given. It's because Yah said so. And some of those are like the mixing of wool and linen together. That's this type of command, as well as what they call the quintessential example of this type of command is the laws of the instructions showing the red heifer.
You can even do kosher eating.
Yeah, same way. Because it's not obvious that pigs aren't clean animals, or at least not edible. Because if it's obvious, so many people wouldn't be eating them, right? So it's not obvious, and there's not a reason given for doing it except for choose life. So that is exactly a very good point. And so, what are the type of mitzvot that Abraham kept in this passage we read in chapter 26, verse 5? Well, one of them, statutes, is huchot, the kind of commands that are given because Yah said so, not because there's a specific reason for it. It's not obvious, but Abraham kept that type of command. So it's mishmeret, mitzvot, huchot, Torot in sequence.
One of them would be leaving his homeland to go to Israel, to go to the promised land.
Yeah, I would say that would be. I mean, you could argue that is a witness for him, to others to leave when they're told to leave, because you wouldn't have the exodus from Egypt if you didn't actually get out of Babylon, so to speak. So Abraham's obedience was more than just doing the moral commandments that are obvious to keep. His obedience went deeper than that. It went to the kind of command that you do, not because there's a reason given, you have no reason for knowing why you're doing it, except for obedience to the Most High. That is the type of mitzvah, type of obedience that Abraham kept.
He was going to offer his son that was God asked him to do.
Yeah, exactly. And he knew that life would come through him, through Isaac.
It was going to end up be stopped, or he was going to be raised from the dead.
Right. I think, yeah, exactly. The latter, I think, is if he goes through the obedience, he's killed Isaac, but Isaac is through where his lineage goes through. So therefore, it's an example of he has confidence that Yah will raise Isaac from the dead, even if he's been killed by his father, as a result of obeying the command. Okay, so the mitzvah that Abraham kept.
We got ahead.
Huchot, yeah. Well, what should it tell us about Abraham's faith? I guess we sort of talked about that a bit. I got ahead of the slide here. What would you say to someone that tells you that Yah wants us only to keep the mishpatim, the obvious moral commands, and not the others, the huchim and edot? Is that consistent with Abraham's faith of listening to the voice? It's a hard sell for that. I think it's not consistent with listening to the voice if you're ignoring 2/3 of what the voice says. Is it possible that only obeying the voice and things which God gives us reasons is repudiating what Paul wrote in 2 Corinthians 5:7? For we walk by faith, not by sight. Could be. If we only do the things we have reasons for, if we only do the things we have logic for, it's repudiating what Paul wrote in walking by faith and not by sight. Obeying what Yah said to do is difficult if you do it out of ignorance, so to speak, because you're just doing it because of feeling some sort of pressure. You're doing it because you want to obey your loving Father. That's a different attitude to take, I think. So we get to an interesting passage here in chapter 28, verse 3. It says, "May El Shaddai bless you, make you fruitful, and increase your descendants until they become a whole assembly of peoples." L'chahal Amim. So chahal, that's the word for assembly, it's the word that is translated in the Septuagint Greek text from Hebrew to Greek as often as what Greek word? You recognize that word because it is commonly known within New Covenant believers or Brit Hadashah believers.
It's translated into church.
Yes, ecclesia.
Ecclesia. I wasn't coming up with the
The
word.
word kahal is the word for assembly, but it's the word that is translated as.
Oh, so basically, I'm going to make you fruitful and multiply and make you a church.
Yes, you could say that. That in a real sense that the blessing will be abundant, your descendants, because they'll become an entire assembly of peoples. Now, amim in this sense, the word meaning people, is sometimes used as as another word for Gentiles in the Aramaic side of things. This is Hebrew and Aramaic, so that is sometimes used as for Gentiles. And you can look at it in a larger sense of that blessing is going to be beyond the borders of of Israel, so to speak. But that's not really not what the text tells us. It says you will be fruitful because of your obedience. You'll be blessed because of your obedience, and you will have as many as the stars in the sky. Yeah. I think there's a bit of a delay in our thing that JD posted ecclesia as the answer to that question just a second ago. All right, it brings us to our question about what do we like about this Torah portion, and what would you say bothers you about it, if anything?
I kind of hate that Jacob lied to his dad.
Yeah.
And yet,
At the direction of his mom, he deceived his dad.
yeah. It's like not a really good, kind of a dysfunctional family there. But you could also look at it as Rebecca had been told by God that Jacob would receive it. So you could kind of wiggle in that she was being obedient to make sure he got it. But it's kind of in the same thing of Abraham sleeping with Sarah's handmaiden so that he could get we're trying to get it our own way.
She's kind of putting her finger on the scale, so to speak, so it goes this way, but it was kind of using deception to get there. And one of the things that you'll see is that although we do see that Jacob sees his dad again, but we don't. But it seems like this day was the last day he saw his mom on the earth. He did not see her again. When he came back, he did not see his mom. He only saw his dad. Indicates that even though he was blessed, there was also some consequences for that, perhaps.
Well, he had an interesting life with Laban too.
Oh yeah, I mean, you think about the story. It's two exiles going on here, right? He's an exile from the land of his inheritance when he goes to live with Laban and family. He marries the daughters and comes back. And then he goes later to exile into Egypt. So he has a life of being exiled from the land. He's exiled in two different occasions. He dies outside the land. He gets buried back in the land, of course, but he dies outside the land. With whom or with what can you relate to in any of the readings? Is there any particular player you can relate to? Esau?
No.
You see the desperation of Esau, right? I mean, the desperation that Esau
You
is.
can definitely say, I kind of understand his anger, but he was under such stress. What good would the inheritance be to me if I'm going to be dead tomorrow? I need to refuel and keep running. So,
what are the readings telling us about Elohim or about Yeshua? Well, certainly in our Haftarah reading, we see that Yah is not very happy with leadership of Israel, essentially spurning the festivals by bringing polluted offerings in. That would you bring this offering to your governor? Saying, well, why are you disrespecting me more than why are you showing your governor more respect than you're showing me? We know that Yah is compassionate, but that doesn't mean we should say, well, okay, here's my offering, this broken chair. Not good. Well, question 4, there are no mitzvot in this portion, so are we being told to do anything? What are we being told to do? So before we get there, JD says, I can relate to Esau with all the good things I've given up in my life due to stress, strain, and duress, whether real or perceived by me. So in the tyranny of the urgent, we give up things so we can meet the urgent requirement, but losing long-term, health perhaps as a result. So even though there is no mitzvah listed in this portion, what is the text telling us to do? I think it shows the importance of blessing our children by obedience. Because our children are blessed when we're obedient to what Yah said. I think that
Even if they deceive you.
Although you could look at Esau's children, I mean, they didn't follow the God of heaven.
But what about, I'm sorry, the judgment though of Esau versus Jacob, Isaac showed favoritism toward which of the two brothers?
Esau, that's what I was wondering. I wonder why God didn't correct the father ahead of time when he knew the father intended to give it to the wrong person.
CC says, it struck me that both brothers made choices that affected their future children's generations by the priorities they placed on the blessings that Yah promised.
It was important to Jacob.
Esau was still blessed and he was going to have plenty, but it was going to be hard earned. He was going to have battles and a hard life.
We know, because he read ahead, right, that when they meet up, he's not destitute.
Yeah.
Right?
He's not poor.
He's wealthy and rich. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about the idea of, didn't you say a blessing for me also? The idea of not being able to take back blessings given, it seems like it's a theme we see repeatedly, that the blessing you've been given can't be taken away by the person, even by the person who gave it, or won't take it away by the person who gave it. And so after Jacob got the firstborn blessing, it was still, he could not take that back to him and now reverse it and give it to someone else. CC comments. They had a choice to accept and follow his ways or to pick what they wanted to do. Both chose different paths. We kind of see at the end of our reading that Esau tried to make it up a little bit, didn't he? It says,
Esau was going to wait till he died. His father died so he could kill him.
Which I think he had to wait 20 years, didn't he, before his father died?
28 verse 8, Esau understood that his father looked with disfavor at the daughters of Canaan. So he went to Ishmael and took his wife, Machalat, daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son,
Just to spite
sister
him.
of adding her to his other wives.
Well, she wasn't Hittite. He was trying to.
I think it's done to try and impress his father.
Yeah, I think he was trying to. They didn't like the Hittite women, so he married another from a different.
Daughter of Ishmael.
From Ishmael.
Yeah.
Because they sent Jacob up to go get a bride from his mother's brother, so he went to get one from kind of step uncle Well, that would be
Mm.
different uncle. Trying to impress his dad. See, I can be a good kid.
Is there a short summary you can tell to someone who doesn't know anything about this? How would you explain this?
To someone who doesn't know anything about it?
Well, just, I don't know. How would you summarize this Torah portion? Give a reel on YouTube.
Well, I think Hashem had a designated plan himself of the lineage of Messiah.
Mhm.
And I mean, for the baby to grab the heel was significant of
Yeah.
one thing.
Mhm.
And I just, regardless of what the circumstances were, that I think Hashem just had his way, because it's pretty evident which way Esau would have been. It wouldn't have, Messiah wouldn't have come through Israel,
Right.
it would have come through,
Why wouldn't,
if he came at all.
don't you think Esau would have known which one God wanted it to go through?
No, not under these circumstances.
You don't think so?
I don't see anything about him that was trusting in God.
No, I mean,
Isaac.
would he not have known who God wanted him to pass the blessing down to? Which son?
I don't know, because it said Rebecca asked God, never said she told Isaac what God had told her.
So you think only Rebecca knew, God only revealed it to Rebecca, not to Isaac?
She kept her mouth shut and didn't
Doesn't-
talk.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that he had the same knowledge about that she did. To me, anyway.
Hmm.
I mean, I look at Israel today. What other nation has ever been dispersed to the four corners of the earth and survived going back to their homeland? I mean, God's got his own designation for certain events, and that's it. And whether we're walking with it or through it or whatever,
Mhm.
good, bad, or different, he's gonna do it his way.
Yeah.
With the ones he's chosen.
You can choose to keep walking that way or to not.
Right.
Or to go the other way. All right. So that concludes our Midrash. There is a dog with a soldier getting her belly scratched. All right, so let's pray. We thank you for allowing us to Midrash on your word. We thank you for wisdom, your insight, and your protection in this country. We thank you in Yeshua's name. Amen.
And see, I did get 2 texts from Cece. That was my phone going off. She sent